Hey everybody, this video brings us out to Audubon, Pennsylvania on this kind of cold day. Not nearly as cold as it actually has been the last couple of days. The wind has died down finally. I mean, knock on, there's no wood to knock on, but knock on wood, the wind has died down and will hopefully stay this way for a little bit because man, the wind was crazy. The last couple of days, it was nuts. But anyway, the reason why we are in Audubon today is to do something I've never done before. In fact, we're gonna do two things I've never done before. First thing is walk over top of the 422 highway. I can't say I've ever done this before. I've driven down this road here. This is Pawlings Road. Takes you down to Valley Forge and then Audubon that way. I've driven over this bridge about 1,000,000 times before. I have never walked over this bridge before. And I've driven underneath this bridge. I've driven on top of this bridge about 1,000,000 times before, but I've driven under this bridge about 50 billion times before. The amount of times I have driven up and down 422 in my lifetime, not only as an actual driver, but with other people or as a kid with my parents. I mean, this highway here, I'm up and down it all the time. So kind of feels weird to be walking on top of this bridge today, a bridge I've driven under so many times, but I never actually walked on. It's just, again, it feels bizarre. It's sort of just weird to be walking over top of this highway right now. I know that this is not what this video is about today. We're gonna take a look at something today, but it just feels weird to be doing this right now. Like I'm looking down on the road that I've driven on so many times. This is why I know it's weird, it's bizarre. This is the kind of thing I love doing. People ask why I do my videos, why I do what I do, because I love exploring. Like there's something about the fact that I've never walked here before. I've never been here before. I've driven under this bridge 1,000,000 times. I've driven on this bridge 1,000,000 times, but I've never just walked on it. And now every time I drive under this bridge, I can say, I've been up there. I've walked on that bridge. I've walked over this little path here before. I love this kind of stuff. I love exploring. I love doing things for the first time. But anyway, this video really had nothing to do with this bridge. I just had to park on the other side of the bridge because there was nowhere to park on this side of the road to take a look at what we're going to take a look at today. We're actually here to take a look at yet another cemetery, but a cemetery I'm very excited for. So right over there is St. Gabriel's Hall. Unfortunately, they did close down. It's no longer running anymore. I think there's like some farm or something like that now maybe owns the property, or at least they do stuff over here on the side. Maybe they just do stuff over here. I'm not sure who owns that property right now, if anybody even owns that property right now. But they were a rehabilitation center, a reform school, basically a place for troubled youth. So kids who maybe had gotten in trouble with the law, they would be sent there, or kids who just had bad upbringing. So maybe their parents had trouble with alcohol or abuse, or just their homes were not good places. It was not good for the kids to be in their homes and needed to be sent somewhere. So instead of being adopted out or something like that, or sent to a relative, maybe they didn't have relatives they could go live with. They didn't have your parents are awful, so they send you off to your grandparents. Maybe you didn't have grandparents, so they would send you here. It was a place for kids who just, again, troubled youth, whether it was you being in trouble with the law, or maybe you just didn't have a good household, you'd be sent here. And as a kid, I don't know about you, you guys from the area, but my parents would always say, if you're not good, we're gonna send you to the St. Gabe. Every time we drove up and down 422, we'd pass St. Gabriel's Hall. My parents would always say, you better behave. You kids stop yelling in the back of that car, or we're gonna send you to St. Gabe's, which isn't really how it works. But I remember my parents would always say that. And from what I've heard talking to other friends, their parents would say the same thing. So I think it was a very local thing for parents to always say, behave, or we're gonna send you to St. Gabe's. But that's what we called it, St. Gabe's, St. Gabriel's Hall. St. Gabe's was the way we always called it. But anyway, there's something I wanted to take a look at. I'm already starting to shiver. It's cold. It's a balmy 40 degrees here in Pennsylvania today. It's pretty darn cold out still. I'm very much looking forward to the warm weather coming. Apparently today, this afternoon, it's supposed to get a little warmer in the high 50s, almost 60 degrees. Not quite, but almost 60 degrees later on today when the sun, I guess, apparently comes out. The clouds will go away, and supposedly the sun's coming out, and it's going to warm things up. But anyway, we're here to take a look at something that I've seen from a distance many times. Even as a kid, I always thought, what is that up there? Because driving down 422, if you're heading towards King of Prussia, the Valley Forge area, heading down that way, or you're heading into Oaks, Pennsylvania, and towards Pottstown, Pennsylvania, heading that direction, do not ask me what actual northeast west and south direction it is. I have no idea what actual directions it is up and down the highway, but if you're heading, again, towards King of Prussia that way, or towards Oaks and Pottstown, Limerick, Pennsylvania that way, you can see this off to your, if you're heading towards King of Prussia, Valley Forge, you see it off to your left. If you're heading towards Oaks and whatnot, you see it off to your right, up on a hill. It sits right on the side of the highway, up on a hill, and that is the St. Gabriel's Cemetery. Actually, I think this has a different name to it. I don't think it's called the St. Gabriel's Cemetery, but it is a cemetery for St. Gabe's. And I have seen this so many times driving up and down the highway, and I've never actually come out here to take a look at this. Look at that. I never realized the crosses were actually wooden. I believe I've seen photos. I think some of these have names on them. I'm not seeing any names though. I saw photos. Somebody actually came out here and took photos of this cemetery, and they were showing names on the crosses. I'm not seeing any names at the moment. There were plaques on some of the crosses. Unless they're on the other side, I'm not entirely sure. That's weird. I don't see any names at the moment. This one here actually has a thing on the bottom here, a little tombstone. Joseph Fitzsimmons, February 24th, 1931, September 23rd, 1999. So that's actually not that old of a grave. So yeah, okay, this one here. Okay, there's a couple of them that have these little markers on them. MDWULIC, I'm not sure how you even pronounce that last name. Passed away August 23rd, 1932 at the age of 17. This one here says J. Nugent, passed away 1950, age of 63. W. Sheehan, in 1946, at the age of 55. Joseph Jones, May 6, 1913, at the age of 16. So, from what I was reading, not only, because you can see some of those ages are somewhat older, this was not only a place where they buried kids who were sent here who weren't claimed, basically. So that was one of the, some of the people who were sent here, some of the people, it's so cold. Some of the people who were buried here are kids who were not claimed. So you were sent to St. Gabriel's Hall because, again, you were a troubled youth, whether it was because you were in trouble with the law or you had just, a household that was not sufficient, and you were sent out here. If you passed away, and apparently I believe one of these kids, I think maybe, don't hold me to this, but it might have been Joseph at the age of 16 I was reading about. One of these kids actually buried here apparently died because right over there is the Schuylkill River, and I guess they were swimming in the Schuylkill River back in the 30s or whatever, and he dove into the river and apparently broke his neck, and he's buried out here. So if you were to die for whatever reason, whatever happened to you, you passed away while you were here and you weren't claimed. Nobody came, no family members came to claim your body, nothing like that. They would bury you out here. And the reason why some of these graves are actually of people who are older, like, again, for instance, one of these graves, and say it was 63 years old, J. Nugent, 63. Apparently a lot of people actually kind of put their lives into these places. People who worked here, whether they did cooking or janitorial or maintenance, whatever they did here. This place was like a little town almost. Whatever these people did, sometimes people who were working here, living here, and put their lives into this place, they would pass away. And again, there would be nobody to claim them. Maybe they didn't have any children. Their parents had already passed away. They didn't have a spouse, something like that. They would die, and they also buried them out here. So not only are these children and young adults and whatnot who were out here, who unfortunately passed away at a very young age, weren't claimed, they were buried here. It's also adults as well who were buried here who also weren't claimed. So unfortunately, this is a grave of pretty much anybody who was unclaimed, people who just didn't have anybody come after the bodies and pick up the bodies and claim the bodies when they actually passed away. Kind of crazy to think. But unfortunately, a lot of these kids just had family like that. Family who just wasn't really great, and that's why they were sent out here in the first place. So who knows, maybe some of these kids actually had parents who were still alive when they passed away, but they were just terrible, awful parents, and they didn't claim the bodies. And again, some of these people also just put their lives into this place, which is really awesome to kind of think about those people who did dedicate their lives to working here and taking care of the troubled youth who was here. And then unfortunately, when they did pass away, nobody was around to claim them for whatever reason, and they were buried right here. So say what you will about religion, I do respect the fact that they always take care of their dead. It is pretty awesome of religions. I always say, like, I always think it's really neat that when somebody passes away, whether you're a nobody, I don't mean that to sound disrespectful, but you know, you're just some random person that they find out and about. I mean, you know, sometimes people, like a Jane Doe, that's what I'm trying to say. Somebody, that's so much nicer than a nobody. I mean, you're not identified, you're a body that's just found out in the woods or something like that, or floating in a river or washed up on the beach, and they have no idea who you are. You're a Jane Doe, you're a John Doe, you're unidentifiable, they don't know who you are. You get a proper burial, and I can definitely respect that. Or maybe you were a criminal, you didn't have a very good past, you did a lot of bad things, and you're shot, you're shot down by the police, or you're murdered, or something bad happens to you. You're given a pretty decent burial. So I gotta say, I do respect at least religion in that aspect, where they will give anybody a proper burial, which is kind of awesome. And that's what they did out here. Again, these children, these kids, sent out to St. Gabriel's Hall, troubled youth, whether that was because they were in trouble with the law. I gotta literally have a stick now stuck in my shoe. So again, whether these children were in trouble with the law and sent out here because of that, or because they didn't have a very good upbringing, their household wasn't a safe place to be, they were brought out here, and unfortunately some of them did pass away. And when that happened and their bodies were not claimed, this is where they were buried. Or again, those who pretty much dedicated their lives to working here and taking care of the children who were sent here, and also weren't claimed. Bodies buried here as well. So I've always wanted to see this. I've always wanted to stop out here and check out the cemetery. You guys know how much of a fan I am of cemeteries, which is kind of a weird thing, I guess, to say, but I do love visiting and exploring cemeteries. As many times as I've driven up and down this road right here, 422, very major, very busy highway, I have looked up on top of this hill. I've seen through this gate right here. I've seen the crosses sticking up. You can see the crosses sticking up from the actual highway. And I've always thought, one of these days I got another stick stuck to my foot. One of these days I had to get out here and actually explore and see this cemetery. All right, guys, I'm gonna let you go. If you're from the area, if your parents ever threatened to send you to St. Gabriel's Hall if you didn't behave, leave a comment down below. I know I was not the only parent. I was not the only one who had parents who used to say that to them. I know a lot of my friends, their parents used to say the same exact thing. And from what I was reading in some articles written about St. Gabe's, apparently their parents used to say the same thing as well. So I was not alone in that aspect, and I'm sure many of you who do live in the area will also say that you were not alone in that. So St. Gabe's, pretty awesome looking place. I would have taken you guys over there to actually see St. Gabe's. I was actually thinking about starting this video over there. I was gonna park over there and then walk from there over to here, but private property. In fact, we're probably on private property right now. I don't know, there were no signs, but there was definitely a bunch of signs over there at the actual building that said private property, trespassers will be prosecuted. So could not park over there, decided to park on the other side of the highway, which is cool. I got to walk over the bridge. I was excited about that. So pretty awesome building over there. Unfortunately, we could not take a look at that, but oh my gosh. We're gonna end this video. I'm so cold. Again, 40 degrees out right now, kind of chilly. But we did get to check out the actual cemetery. All right, I'm gonna let you guys go. I'm gonna go walk back across 422, back to my car. It's a little bit of a ways away now that I'm thinking about it. Kind of bummed about that because I am freezing right now, but at least it's not like 20 something degrees with a crazy wind chill. It's, again, a balmy 40 degrees with no wind. Pennsylvania, I cannot wait for the nice weather to come, or for me to move to Florida, whichever comes first. So, all right, guys, that is it. So as always, guys, thank you so much for checking out this video. Be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Definitely check down below for links to Patreon. If you guys do become a patron, I will send you a postcard every single month from the road. Also check down below for a link to Spreadshirt. We grab yourself retro rest style t-shirts. Proceeds both from Spreadshirt and from Patreon. You can help supporting the show, keeping the show going. So I really do appreciate that. So all right, guys, again, thanks for watching. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And if you do hit that subscribe button, or you are subscribed, then I will see you in tomorrow's video. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one. Bye.